Yes, hello. Hello.
Is Peter?
Yes, this is Peter Palpin, better known as the one and only Skin. Can you please not talk over when I'm speaking, and then you could talk clear and dear for our documentary or documentary that you're on right now? Wow, kapow. Speaking with the one and only God Almighty, more than obviously down here from heaven through his kid Pevin. And so we would like first for you to tell your name loud and proud for worldwide TV. Go ahead. What's your name, sir?
Peter, where are you?
What's your name, sir?
My name is... Hello?
Hello. What's your name, sir?
Peter, where are you?
Hello. What's your name, sir? I don't even know who you are. You could be a killer, probably, like that killer. You know that lady policewoman who killed that unarmed dark tan man in Alabama in the name of Jesus. Do you know that story? That ugly, smugly, fugly story that cops get away with murder, rape, arson, and every other sin as long as they're a police and the ununited hates of hysteria of Trumpville, America. KKKville, SSville, where the evil and the despicable and the deplorable and the horrible and the immorable get away with murder, rape, arson, and every other sin. But no more, because I don't want to only forevermore. Down here in the undear and unclear to clear things up with the more than any corrupt. And you know how he's going to get his way, the one and only God Almighty, with those real-time black bags that turn people into real-time hags. Those real-time cancers, that's God's answer. But not when he puts them on the outside, but when he puts them on the inside. And no matter how much snide and how much pride and how much people try to hide the greatest scientific evidence news ever about the one and only humanly impossible clever lever. Once God puts those real-time cancers in people's spines, only possible in real time by the one and only divine and the one and only sublime and the one and only humanly impossible shine, then God will win because it creates pain like human beings cannot comprehend, like the Empire State Building times 10 is on top of them. And so now, what would you like, sir? But please say your name for our documentary, our documentary. Or are you embarrassed to say your name from whence you came?
No, Peter, we just want to make sure that you're okay. Are you all right?
Who are you? I don't even know who you are. Are you one of those cop killers?
I'm calling from the FBI in Boston. We got a tip that you might be having some problems, and I just want to make sure that you're okay.
Really, what are the problems? Name number one. Let's hear the list. What's the number one problem? If God was channeling, let me ask you, if God was channeling through you with blatant scientific evidence, like no time in the history of the world, would that be a problem?
Can I finish speaking?
If God turned you into a boy, a humanly impossible boy, when you're 63 years old on your birth certificate in triplicate, would that be a problem, or would that be the greatest thing that could ever beyond surreal happen to a human being? God channeling and paneling through somebody in a humanly impossible ways and scientific fillets. In other words, moving you at a speed that the human body can't even move in karate, with a cooler form out of the norm than Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali. And then walking blindfolded and blindfolded and blindfolded in a humanly impossible scientific evidence way from one tree to another, spinning and spinning and spinning from time to time to time and time after time and time after time, all with humanly impossible divine shine. And so how does that cat in the hat do that? Me, P.T.
You
Sweet.
are quite the mesmerizing riddler, and I'm amazed at how quickly you can formulate all these things and get them out. It's truly a craft.
Well, who is it? Is it me, P.T. Sweetie, or am I telling the truth? In other words, it has to be either A or B. It either has to be me, P.T. Sweetie, all of a sudden superhuman with my humanly impossible brand spanking new albumin skin, or I'm telling the truth and it's not me. It's the one and only God Almighty who enters my skin with blatant scientific evidence beyond surreal all the way from heaven. And I'm not stupid. I know why you're calling. And so let me tell you why. Because I've been doing a documentary on those doctors that try to make people younger with fake pulling skin things to get away with wrinkles, crinkles, and sprinkles. And so we've been calling them in the Boston area and in Costa Rica, and we've been and what we've been doing is legally is showing them photos exposed, and this will be a big thing we show on TV. In other words, I used to take steroids, maybe you remember, maybe you don't, many years ago, and I used to curl 160 pounds with one arm, and that's one of the side effects with taking steroids. It does make you strong, very strong. So I was 40 pounds maybe of muscle bigger, and so now I got lean, like a lean, mean, athletic machine, as they used to say. And so because of losing 40 pounds of muscle, I have not old skin, I have some dead skin, like chicken skin, hanging under my armpits. And so I'm a perfectionist, and so I want to cut that out. And so these doctors have photos that I also put in the email to all of them that shows a fat woman with skin, 3 inches thick, her tricep is hanging 6 inches down. So there has to be a fair price differential between what they would charge her to cut that, 20 million pounds of fat off her underarm versus my zero hanging fat under my arm, and it's just a quick little tiny operation that uses local anesthesia. And not one of them, thus far, after a week, is giving me a price or a quote, because they're all corrupt. And so I'm bringing what?
I don't think they do that on the phone. They'd have to
No, I sent them. I've sent them emails, and I'm waiting. It's been a week. I send them. That's why. Send me your email address. Give it to me, and I'll send you exactly the lawful, kind thing that I'm sending them. I'm not sending them. Only one of them out of like 10 has called the FBI and called the police in Quincy, a place, and they won't even give me their email. In other words, that's the one that won't even give me their email, so I could send the photos and compare. You know what I mean? Because they just want to say, okay, it's $24,000 for a 1 hour operation. You know what I mean?
I don't know much about it, but it sounds expensive. I mean,
No, well, because they're cheating and they're lying because of insane jealousy for me, and they don't want to give me their emails, so I have them. I recorded them, and they're going, we don't give our email out. And so I go, okay, well, we're in court. Remember that I'm going to play this, and you're saying you don't give your email out to any of your patients, and if we could prove that you do, what does that prove? Slander, defamation of character, discrimination. I mean, the list of laws that they're breaking against me is literally endless in the law field. So look what they do. They call you and you play reverse perverse psychology and ask me if I'm all right, when the truth is you should be calling them and go, look, are you all right? I mean, how do you go to work? How do you even sleep, ma'am, at night, knowing the light is down here? God is down here with blatant scientific evidence, putting black bags under people's eyes like Donald Trump and turning them on and off like a light switch. In every movie since 2006, 1 to 3 actors, God is putting black bags under their eyes and turning them on and off like a light switch. And every human could see it with their eyes open. But as Barack Obama says, people pretend... What?
Peter?
Yeah, be blunt.
You know, my whole objective here is just to determine whether you're going to harm yourself or anyone else. And I get it, you're a very philosophical person.
I'm not philosophical at all. I'm telling you scientific evidence fact. Scientific evidence fact isn't philosophical. In other words, there's got to be a reason how I could walk blindfolded from here to my car parked a mile away. Either A, I'm superhuman, or B, I'm telling the truth, and I'll pass on every lie detector that God enters me.
You're telling the truth, but what I'm just...
So why would you call me and ask a crass-ass question? Am I going to hurt anybody, or am I going to hurt myself? Why would I do that? Why would a person that God is channeling through like no one in the history of the world hurt anyone or hurt themselves? In other words, that's like a crass-ass question. The question you should be asking is all the people who are lying about the greatest scientific evidence news ever, why would they do so many illegal things towards me? In other words, you should go arrest those people who called you and say you're under arrest for slander, defamation of character, and discrimination because you won't take this guy's phone call, you won't give him an estimate, you won't give him, you won't talk.
As a private entrepreneur, don't they have the right to, like...
No, why do you think... No, what is civil rights? No, then why did Martin Luther King walk? In other words, what you're saying to me is disgusting. It's like what you legal people did is you took that
I'm not a legal person.
okay, FBI, that's legal. So look at it. What you're doing is taking a prejudice. What?
If they don't talk to me nicely, do I have to fix their car?
Yeah, you have to fix their car. It depends it depends if you're twisting words. What's not talking nice? If I tell people God is here with scientific evidence, is that the nicest thing I could ever tell anybody? In other words, if you would want to know one thing that no one ever knew in the history of the world, if I was telling people, look, I'm not going to tell you the dinosaur is down here, right? Because it would be great to be able to see a dinosaur because no one has ever did. Or a flying saucer's landed in your front yard and we could talk to the people from an outer space. So the only thing more amazing and incredible than that would be if God came down here with blatant scientific evidence to tell us where we go, why we go there, how long we stay there, why people have it bad down here with no food and nothing to eat and no feet and no, food and little food, clothing, and shelter and a hell of a lot of helter-skelter and they're blind and they can't hear, versus people who make a lot of money, could have any hun, and have a lot of fun making their money. In other words, who wouldn't want a life like The Rock? And so what about the people who have lives the complete opposite of The Rock? There's got to be a moral explanation for that, and there is.
I'm pretty close to the opposite of The Rock.
What?
I said I probably have a life pretty close to the opposite of The Rock.
Well, the opposite of The Rock would be you would be in the street with nothing to eat, and you wouldn't have any shoes on your feet, and you wouldn't be able to afford heat.
I'm not in that predicament.
All right, so there's got to be a reason those people who are in that situation go, why me? And The Rock goes, why me? In other words, The Rock in a great way says, why me? And the people with nothing to eat in the street with no heat are saying, why me, in a bad way? Well, now we know why, because you reap what you sow. And that's the only moral way God should be. You reap what you sow. So if you're blind, you were unkind in your last lifetime and took someone's eyes out to make them shout and pout. And so what I was getting at, and you interrupted, is you said, well, people could have a right, like JetBlue, if they don't want you to fly on their airlines, they don't have to let you fly. In other words, we're in Alabama. We're in Georgia. We're in South Carolina. We're in Florida. And we ain't gonna let you in our restaurant because you have dark brown skin. It don't matter if you're the nicest human in the history of the world. You got dark brown skin, so we are not going to let you in our restaurant. We're not going to let you on our bus. We're not going to let you on our ski lifts. We're not going to let you in our restaurant. We're not going to let you in our college of knowledge because we are jealous of the tone of your skin. And so that because of civil rights, that was made against the law. But now you crass-ass lawmakers made a new rule up. We're trespassing you. Oh, and so trespass is another word for prejudice, and you're not allowed in our jet, you're not allowed in our bus, you're not allowed in our school, you're not allowed in any building that we're in because we have this law called trespassing. Are you starting to get that civil rights picture here? In other words, trespassing is going to be changed because you can't trespass somebody unless they smell like shit because they haven't showered in months because they're in the street with nothing to eat. So that's a moral reason not to let somebody in your restaurant. Because if you don't like the color of their skin, that's not a moral reason to let somebody in your business. If you're jealous because God turned someone into a humanly impossible boy and he moves in at a humanly impossible cooler than any cool speed in the coolest karate ever and dances him better than Michael Jackson and can do non-stop rhymes in real time only possible by the one only divine, one only sublime, the one only humanly impossible shine, then that's immoral and that's against the law and that's discrimination, harassment, and slander, and that person should be jailed and that person should be fined for millions and millions of dollars. And not only will they, but they will once the black ball is over for Rover and me, God's kid Pover. And so can you quarrel with any of these morals all more than any floral?
come down here, Peter.
Yes, so do you disagree with anything I'm saying?
You know, I don't necessarily disagree, but I don't fully agree with what you say.
Okay, name one thing that I said that you don't agree with.
Well, you know, I get what you're trying to accomplish here.
Name one thing that I said that's immoral or does it or not 100% common sense. And you'll be able to come on TV, and I'm recording this, and you'll be able to talk about it on TV, proud and loud, and say, look, I disagree with God down here speaking through Sweeter Peter Palpin. I could quarrel with one of his morals. So go ahead. You have free will. Go ahead. In other words, if you're more moral than us, we'll admit it. So say one thing that we said immoral. In other words, I went to Heavenly Valley, and they took my seasons pass away because I was walking around looking cooler than any cool. And so they were...
I don't know what Heavenly Valley is.
It's a ski area in the Colorado area. Okay? I was thrown off Greyhound bus because of insane jealousy. I was not let on 2 flights from JetBlue because of insane jealousy. I'm thrown out of every gym I try to get in because of insane jealousy. And jealousy is when they see my humanly impossible waist and face in every other space and place. So they come up with a, crass ass, unlawful reason to throw me out of the gym or a tennis club or whatever. And so all those people are going to be arrested, and at least the minimum least is we're going to win open and shut cases for civil, financial things that they tried to destroy me with. And so, the town hall pretending that I'm not a church. In other words, what's those tax people called?
IRS?
Yeah, the IRS pretending that I'm not a church. In other words, all that is like to give me a hard life and try to cause me financial strife. And so they lie about me. In other words, I'm not only a church, I'm really the only church now that's legal on the planet. Because once God has come down here and proven himself real, right, with blatant scientific evidence, now any church or temple or synagogue or mosque that's promoting a God fraud, that's false advertising, and false advertising is against the law in the FBI book. In other words, if I advertise that I have a money tree and I'm selling these trees for $1.99 and it'll make you millions because it grows money, that's false advertising, and person could be arrested and fined because it's against the law to false advertise. In other words, there's got to be moral laws in this country, and if there's not a law about false advertising, that you can advertise a money tree or advertise, take this pill and we guaranteed you're going to look like a superhero, or do this workout in 10 minutes a day and you're going to become a superhero, which I do see on TV, and I'm sure in tiny letters that nobody could see, it says, well, we're being dishonest here and you can't sue us for that, or whatever. But the truth is that you cannot quarrel with a moral, and all those immoral things are against the law when you really look at the law without twisting words. In other words, freedom of speech or freedom of the internet, but when you put naked people having sex, that's twisting words. That's not good for kids who are 5 years old and 4 years old and 6 years old and 7 years old. That's not good for their upbringing to see that at such early ages. It creates a lot of perversions, okay? So that's twisting freedom of speech. Or freedom of speech, you could call people nigger and you could call people honky, and that's fine, because in this free country we have freedom of speech. That's taking words and twisting them. You're free to speak, but if you speak mean to somebody like that, then that should be against the law, because that's mean. Anything mean should be against the law. Anything not mean shouldn't be against the law. And so freedom isn't dumb. In other words, freedom has a place where freedom stops and common sense morals begin. And so go ahead, name one thing I said that's immoral that you could quarrel with. Name one.
You just said so much.
All right, but but that's why I'm saying name one. In other words, there should be one that's...
With your moral concept, right?
What?
Things that are mean should be illegal. I agree with that. But I also agree that if people don't feel as though you'd be a good fit maybe for their product or for their services, that they have the right to deny that.
There you go, twisting words. In other words, okay, because they're so jealous. Okay, so a doctor and his nurses are so jealous of my humanly impossible life, so they say, okay, we're not going to do business with you. I mean, they have to have a moral, legal reason Why they don't want to talk to me? Why they don't want me to send them an email to show what I'm looking for?
But maybe they're afraid. Maybe they
Afraid of what? If there was, okay, there's another one. In other words, my mother was in an old people's home, not an old people's home. Those people those places that take care of people who are sick or need nurses around the clock, right? So, my mother, because she got knocked in the head, didn't understand what's happened to me. That she just thought that I became unbelievably creative and innovative and entertaining, or as an entertained king. She couldn't understand that God was entering my skin from heaven and doing these humanly impossible, entertaining things only possible to one only King of all kings. So her and her friend at the place go, please, we want you to do a show here for all the people here. They'll love it. So I go, yeah, but I guarantee this place is part of a blackball list. And it's been going on since 2006. They don't want me on TV. They don't even want me in the littlest, place that I could do entertainment, not even on a sidewalk. They'll come and arrest me illegally. So they go, no. So I go, all right, you'll see. So they bring me to the lady there who does entertainment. And she goes, oh, yeah, I did a little bit for her. Well, not me, the light, and went into me and did it. And she goes, oh, yeah, we'd love to have you. So my mother and the lady goes, you're right. See, we were right. And I go, well, you'll see. They'll call back. So I was right. They called back in a week, and they go, you can't do it. We don't want it. So then I went to see my mother, and I brought a bunch of videos of movies of the light when he goes through me. There are some on YouTube and stuff to show her, so I could explain to her slowly how it works. So that I stopped by at the office and said, I just want you to let you know, I know you're part of a blackball list, and that's why you won't let me entertain these people for free who would love it, because what would be more great and fun and interesting for these people who are about to die, to let them know there really is a God that's not a fraud, and you don't get away with murder, rape, arson, or any other sin. You only reap what you sow. And this is why God came here, to heal Mother Earth and give her back her birth and total rebirth and full girth, and heal Mother Earth and end all war tours, and, put lie detector tests in every courtroom to end corruption, etc. All positive, goddish things, and none of them are any devilish things. And so they trespassed me from ever seeing my mother again. She called the police on me. They came up in with their guns and said, you can't come in here and see your mother anymore. So the last 7 years of my mother's life, I wasn't able to visit her. So how many millions of dollars am I going to win from that company? Because they immorally stopped me from coming there, because I called them on their own illegality, which is blackballing me from entertaining people for free who would love the greatest scientific evidence news ever, to hear it, feel it, and see it through me. And I would even show them the not through me's, the real-time black bags coming under people's eyes in real time, like in the movie Queen, where everybody could see, God putting black bags and scars under that guy's eyes, and then turning them off and on and off and on throughout the movie like a light switch, and then show him winning his award at the Oscars, and in the audience he has black scars and bags under his eyes, and when he wins he walks up on the stage, and bing, in real time they're gone. Only possible by God. There's no other explanation for it. And so, because these people in your town or Boston are jealous of me, that's not a legal reason to stop me from getting information from them and sending them an email of what I want possibly for them to do. When obviously I'm doing a documentary on this to show the corruption within doctors' offices. So there's nothing against the law what I'm doing, but what they're doing is totally against the law. So why aren't you calling them? In other words, how come the police always choose to bother me instead of calling the people up who are calling about me? In other words, if you were going to have an argument with anyone, the last person you would, in other words, this is a hypothetical. Out of all the people that ever lived, like Abraham Lincoln and George Washington and all those people who were supposed to be moral, and Gandhi, and then all the people down here that are living right now, who's the one person that you would trust more than anyone out of everyone in the history of the world? Me, the skin God jumps in with blatant scientific evidence all the way from heaven. And the reason God is using me isn't because I'm the chosen one. It's because God really had a human race, a mankind race. Which human could be the nicest for 12 lifetimes in a row? Never lie or barely ever lie. and never be prejudiced, etc. You know, the nicest person everyone knows. I don't have to explain what the nicest human would be ever. In God's human race, in other words, humans, and where God created a race, not a running race, a mankind race, which mankind could be the kindest for 12 lifetimes in a row won this job. And so if there was one human you would want to fly on your airplane and want to speak at your children's graduation and want to speak in your old people's home and want to, you know, go to a funeral and speak to all the guests there, who would you choose?
I'd probably choose God.
Well, in other words, God speaking through me, right? In other words, I'm not God. I'm not God. What?
So, you know, someone who's going to be kind, someone who's going to be, you know, good to listen to, someone who's going to be engaging, someone who's going to be...
No, but I'm not asking you someone. I'm saying...
You asked me who I wanted to speak, and I'm trying to answer your question.
Okay, but God, in other words, God speaks through me. I'm not God, but he speaks through me. So are you saying you would choose me, or would you choose who?
Well, just listening to you for the last 15 minutes or so, I'd probably choose you. I mean, you got a lot of information.
Okay, so look, I wonder why the lights... There's a big difference between... There's a big difference between the FBI and police. Do you agree? Police are liars, cheaters, and snakes, and the FBI is honest. How come the FBI gives lie detector tests to everyone in the FBI? Because they know nobody could fool a lie detector, right or wrong?
Yeah, that's probably one part of it. You know, they look for truthfulness.
Yeah, but of course, because they don't want anyone on the take and on the make. They want people who are totally 100% honest in the FBI. So how come all police and the police forces don't have to do the same thing? In other words, it destroys your character and your name, in other words, in a disgusting way, because people consider the FBI part of the police, even though I know you're not. But if you look at you see what that policewoman did. I just saw the video. There's 4 police pointing guns at an unarmed, dark tan man, and she shoots him dead. And they don't even put her in jail, and they put her on another police force. And so every human sees right through that. But the great news is now we all know there really is a God, and you don't get away with that. And she's screwed when she gets to heaven, and screwed in her next how many lifetimes down here. And hopefully, and for sure, the light is going to screw her humanly impossible down here in this lifetime. And so the bottom line is I hear you. And so the thing is, though, you guys are harassing me when you should be calling...
That's not my intent.
No, but you should be calling that doctor's office, because I really want to send you what I've sent them, and you'll see. I'm being totally like forthright, and like I'm not harassing them. I'm begging them to just give me a quote, which that's what they do. They're in business to give quotes for their business. That's what they do.
Right.
So that's all I'm asking them.
But they may have a policy whereas they don't accept emails, and then you may have to come in.
No, that's bullshit. That's bullshit. That she's the only one that says we don't. In other words, yesterday I videoed them, and before she realized it was me, she goes, "Oh yeah, here, I'll give you an email address." And then once she realized, she goes, "Who is this?" And then I told her it was me, and she goes, "Oh, we don't do emails." I already caught them in all their lies. Trust me, the light speaks through me. No one has the clever lever. He catches everybody in their lies.
You know what? Also, Peter, is maybe that's someone you just don't want to do business with.
I'm not going to do business with them. I'm not going to. I'm just getting all this for my report for when we bring them to court for harassment, discrimination. In other words, they already lost. They've already discriminated me, and you'll be one of my star witnesses. In other words, you can't quarrel with them moral. Look, I'm calling them to give them business, and they're discriminating against me because God enters my skin from heaven and turned me into a boy. And so that's not a moral reason to discriminate against me. As you said, you would pick me to come to your funeral, or your grandmother's funeral, or your mother's funeral, or your child's funeral, or anybody's funeral, because what would be better to make people calm and let people know there really is a heaven and there's no such thing as hell. In other words, the great news is you reap what you sow. This is the one thing, I know you probably follow the light. This is the one thing he hasn't told anybody yet. The people who have it bad in heaven, even Adolf Hitler, even, the most disgusting people like Donald Trump and people who killed the American Indians. When they go to heaven, they don't even burn for a millisecond alive in flames, like it says in the Bible that you burn forever and ever, screaming your head off in flames, screaming all day, 24 hours a day, forever and ever in flames. That's the most devilish story ever. But when you go to heaven, you even get a break if you're disgusting down here. Those are the people who clean the toilets and who do all the shitty jobs up here. Yeah, clean in other words, right now you're in your human skin. When you go to heaven, and this is all beyond surreal, but it is what it is. So you enter your ethereal skin and you go there for 111 years. You're 22, brain spanking new. You could eat junk food all day, and you look like the blue people in Avatar, sent from the one only star of all stars. So you have it's Caucasian skin and African skin and Asian skin mixed together, and that's what the God channeled to make those blue people in Avatar look like. So now we all know that's how we look in heaven, because God channeled that to the artists. So that's exactly how you look, cooler than any cool. But the great news, you could eat junk food all day and you don't get an inch to pinch. And it's unbelievable there. And you get to be like that for 111 years, and then you come back down here for your next, what's called 111-year best test. In other words, you could be here for 3 years, or you could be here for 5 years, or you could be for 100 years. And so, and to pass it, you have to be 95% in the heart. So you have 5% to fuck up. But obviously, if you kill somebody, that's going to be more than the 5%. Maybe you could cheat on your boyfriend or girlfriend or wife or whatever, I don't know. I never asked the light. But the bottom line is, so even the people who are evil, they get a break when they go to heaven. So that's how nice the light is. You know what I mean? You reap what you sow, and it's obvious that people should have known that before God came down here, because it's common sense that God would be 100% moral, and all the religions with all those godfrauds, they're all immoral because they all give you permission to sin. Every one of them. They're all in the forgiveness business. So I was born a Jew through and through, and I used to sit there in temple and I go, does anybody believe this garbage? That God would be immoral and forgive, people for lying and cheating and stealing and killing and being prejudiced? Prejudice was always my number one thing that I hated the most. I couldn't comprehend people hating each other because of skin tone. I mean, people are people regardless of the color of your skin. And it goes both ways, racism. I never liked dark-tanned people who hated light-tanned people, and I hated light-tanned people who hate dark-tanned people, and Asian-skinned people who hate light-tanned people and dark-tanned people. Anyone who put their skin on a higher level than another skin tone, I thought was like, the most evil thing. I can't even comprehend it. But hating God down here with scientific evidence, that is more disgusting than hating humans, especially when you realize he's here to get rid of wars, end all pollution, end all, corruption in the courts. I mean, it's going to make your job a hell of a lot easier, the FBI. My brain can't comprehend it because you, unlike me, know what's going on behind the scenes. I have no idea. So, I can't wait to see what...
I don't know much more than you know.
Nah, come on, you know what Angelina Jolie in Hollywood, which is now called Hollywood, has been saying in congressional meetings behind the scenes, telling them they better, heal Mother Earth and give her back her birth and total rebirth and full birth and make electric cars the only legal cars on the planet. And that'll start ending the pollution so quick. In other words, why would they keep creating these gas, oil-making cars when they know God is here demanding, commanding that you stop it now, and if you don't, you're fucked when you get to heaven in your next minimum 11 lifetimes? Like, who in their right mind would argue with God and disagree with God and go to war with God? I'm begging you to tell me. My brain can't comprehend it. Who would do that? You got to be fucking insane.
Only a fool.
Exactly. And so now you know why I know why the light tells me Mueller and Comey and all these guys who got fired by Trump. Those guys are honest FBI guys. They knew Trump had something going on with Russians, and they wanted to look into it. And obviously, this guy Trump was using, his power illegally, and he's going to himself, "Fuck, these guys are on me. I'm going to fire them because I can fire them." But that's that's against the law. That's all the legal terms again. It can't be. It's morally wrong. You can't be the president of a country, and you did something wrong, and so to hide it, you're going to fire all the people who know about it and are investigating it.
Right.
I mean, it's common sense, right?
Right.
You guys got to be like shaking your head, going, "How could what? How?"
I don't have any involvement in that, but so as it relates to your endeavor here,
Yeah.
Trying to accomplish and get the medical service you want. Try to find somebody that's going to work with you, because it seems like this company here in Boston's been working against you.
No, but can I give me your email address, and I want you to see when I'm sending one, and I just want you to call them and record it, and just go, "Look, Peter sent me what
Yeah,
he's."
no, I'm not doing that.
But see, you're standing. See, you're immorally sticking up for them and not me.
I'm not. Have I once said that they were right? I agree with everything.
No, but you're calling me and kind of harassing me, and so at least.
You have to agree with me that you have a pretty strong personality, and you have a pretty, if God is speaking to you, you sound very, very informed. And so the fact that a regular person isn't able to take that in and see it for what you see it, right? You obviously have some type of a gift.
But they're
Don't have that gift, and they don't have the ability to understand your gift. So, with that being said, I mean, you have to take that into accountability, right? That not
Okay, here's another thing here's another thing that totally kills that. In other words, I hear what you're saying, that line, "Oh, we don't understand." How old is a person before they understand that Santa Claus isn't real? In other words, every person who ever was told about Santa Claus hit an age when they realized that Easter Bunny and Santa Claus isn't real. But the truth is, if you look at the Santa Claus story, it's a lot more moral than any of the God frauds. Because Santa Claus is like God. What does he say? You better be nice and you better not be naughty. Or if you're naughty or nice, Santa Claus is coming to town. And if you're naughty, then you're not going to get any presents. So that's a moral God. In other words, that's the way God should be. But all the God frauds aren't like that. So if there was anything all those kids should have not given up on is Santa Claus. Because Santa Claus was the moral character in all those cartoon stories. Right? So these people who are saying they don't understand, they're lying, because when they take the stand, well, they'll lie when they put their hand on the Bible. But when they put a lie detector test on and go, okay, who's walking Peter humanly impossible blindfolded? Is he doing that himself, or is he telling the truth and God enters him from heaven? Okay, how does he move at a humanly impossible speed in karate and dancing and boxing? Does God enter his skin from heaven? Is he telling the truth, God's skin from heaven? Or is it the love, the light, the love, the bright, and the one only way here in our modern day, who enters his skin all the way from heaven, no matter how beyond surreal? That's what's obviously going on with Sweeter Peter Palpon, the world's greatest put on. And so, A or B. In other words, it's obvious no human is that dumb. In other words, the light told me that they go to places where so-called retarded people, I know that's supposedly a term you're not allowed to say anymore, but
Yeah, I don't think that's a good term.
well, what else? Okay, well, what else do you use? Slow people. Okay, so slow brain people, the slowest brain people on the planet. When you go to them and go, look, Johnny, God's in heaven, and Peter's down here, and God enters Peter's skin, and Peter becomes a puppet for God, and God does humanly impossible things to let us know that God really exists through Peter. And then he turned Peter into a humanly impossible boy to give us all evidence that God is really working through Peter even more. And then not through Peter, thank God. So everybody knows Peter isn't God. God is putting black bags under people's eyes and turning on and off like a light switch. And then you know what? The slow person named Johnny says, oh, I get it. God is in heaven. Peter's down there. And God goes in Peter. And Peter becomes a puppet and does humanly impossible things. So then me, Johnny, know there really is a God. And I'm so excited because now I know when I go to heaven, it's going to be so good. In my next lifetime, I know I won't be so slow because I passed my 111-day FS test. And obviously, I must have hit somebody in the head. I must have hit somebody in my head in the last lifetime because that's why God made me so slow in the brain, because I hit somebody in the brain with a crane. So you're starting to get the picture here? Those people are lying, and I'm telling the truth. They're discriminating against me because of insane jealousy, and that's not a moral, legal reason to do that. And so I'm going to win my lawsuit against them.
You probably are. So
Yeah.
moving forward. Are you going to deal with someone else, or are you going to keep
I'm dealing with somebody else. I figured out who they are. I called them. But so just do me a favor.
what you want?
All right. Well, just do. I'm gonna keep calling the other people until they call you too. But in sending them emails, because I'll send you what I'm not doing anything against the law. But do me a favor. Call them and go, look, I just want to let you know he is going to sue you for harassment and discrimination and slander and defamation of character. Will you do that for me?
Is that what God would want?
Yeah,
It's
God.
revenge.
Yeah, of course. Revenge. God is a revengeful God. Why do you think he gives people? In other words, if you take somebody,
These people have to answer this when they go and see God.
yeah, but they're going to answer it down here too.
Court of law, which you describe as corrupt and immoral.
No, but only immoral because the judges are fudges, the attorneys are Ernie and Bernie, and the prosecutors are executors. Not all of them, but some of them. And so what you said about God, in other words, God is what's the word that you said?
Revengeful.
Yeah, God is totally revengeful. Yeah, God isn't in the forgiveness business. He's in the revenge business. You reap what you sow. If you're blind, you were unkind in your last lifetime and took someone's eyes out to make them shout and pout.
Let's try to work with this.
No, but is there anything more moral than that?
You have every right to go and file whatever suit that you intend to file. But again, your objective is to go and get services. But ease your mind. Find someone who's going to provide you these services.
I am.
You have a good relationship with.
No, I am. That's what I'm doing. I'm doing this to tease them now. I'm not doing it for any other reason.
It just like you said, mean is mean. This just seems mean.
No, it's not mean. What's
You
mean?
seem like you're bigger than this.
No, I'm not. That's where you're wrong. Me and the light are the most immature. No, we're the most immature beings.
You really have to go, buddy.
Okay, but do me a favor. Look, I promise I'm not gonna bother them anymore because I got all this. We just spoke for 41 minutes. But do me a favor and do God a favor. Just call them and go, look, I told Peter.
For God.
What?
I said if I called, I wouldn't be calling on behalf of God.
No, you would be. In other words, you don't have to tell them that, but God is telling you through me that you would be doing both of us a huge favor, especially God, because you'd be standing up for God and teasing the fuck out of him way more than we could. Because in other words, when you say it, it's coming from a third party, and it cuts their dirty, rotten throats that gloat with milk, with filth, with more than any milk and silk. In other words, you see, by you calling them and saying, look, Peter's not going to call you anymore. But I just want to let you know.
So Peter, can you just help me formulate this, right? Because
Yeah.
my boss is going to come to me and say,
All right.
hey, what's going on with this guy, Peter?
Yeah.
And Peter, you know like I know, you're not an easy guy to explain.
Yeah, it's
So
simple
how do I
to explain.
you?
Go to God through Peter Palpin on YouTube.
Yeah, I've actually seen some of your YouTube stuff that you did.
It's not mine, it's God's. In other words,
God's, okay, I've seen some of God's YouTube stuff that he did through you.
yeah, in other words, think about this. I can't remember a person's name or phone number. And it doesn't matter anybody who went to Harvard or Yale and got straight A's. Nobody could write a 2-hour real-time rhyme script in comedy, dramedy, and parody and memorize it and do them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, where every word makes sense without any pretense. No human being climbed that fence, not even someone from Harvard or Yale. And how the fuck can I walk in Braille in this humanly impossible tale? And so just show that to your boss, who I'm sure already knows.
Write that fast, but just
Well, you get the point. You get the point. You get the point.
I get the point.
Yeah. So anyway, your boss knows as much as you know and more, unless he's a God Almighty hater, pretends a man named Jesus is God.
He's actually a pretty good guy.
All right. So you FBI guys are funny. The funniest is the lady I talked to, like, I don't know, 8 years ago when I was in Rhode Island, before the Rhode Island police corruptly arrested me and said, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest for harassing phone calls. When I was calling the media about the greatest scientific evidence news ever, they're arresting me for harassing phone calls. And then they put me in a nut house, Luke, one flew over the cuckoo's nest. And I'm sure you know that story. So anyway, I was on the phone with the FBI and I go, I'm part of a blackball list. God's channeling through me, and they won't let me on TV. They won't do a news story on me. And if I go to the news, they call the police on me, and that's against the law. and it's corrupt. That's being part of a black ball list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so Peter, somebody had come to you years ago, right, and said, hey, God's channeling himself to me.
Yeah, I would think they're nuts. No.
Right.
Yeah,
So that's what the average person's going to think.
No, but that's why the 12 years of evidence of through me, not through me, and to me. How come the people who admit it's so obvious and so blatant and they're excited and happy about it versus the people who ignore it and pretend it's not true and use that excuse they don't understand when we know the so-called, slow people, you talk like Johnny, understand it. No one fools me. And what about the people like Trump who at the beginning admitted it was true and then they became so jealous when they realized I'm not getting older and I keep getting younger? Then he changed his story and said that, a man named Jesus is God. And what's really nutty is Pence. He's nuttier than what's his name because he says Jesus talks to him. In other words, if anyone said Jesus talks to them, they'd be put in a nut house and put on meds for the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying?
What about yourself? Do you take any meds?
See, you're crass ass. I mean, you got to be fucking kidding me. I mean,
well, again, like you said to me, if somebody told you what you're telling me, you'd say that they
no,
were
but
crazy.
yeah, but telling it.
You're crazy. I'm just
No, but
saying
telling. No, but if you, in other words, like when I was in the nut house, like telling a person, these are the people in the nut house. I'm Jesus. So they put him in the nut house. I move at a humanly impossible speed in karate. Let's see you do it. And they can't do it. I dance better than Michael Jackson. Let's see you do it. And they can't do it. All those people go into the nut house. Do humanly impossible rhymes and chimes in real time, only possible by the one only divine, the one only sublime. Let's see you do it. They can't do it. Okay, they got to put in a nut house. They can do it. Oh, they must be telling the truth. Walk from here to my car parked a mile away, blindfolded and blindfolded and blindfolded, with blindfolded from the top of my forehead to my mouth, so God could talk through me and tease everybody while he's doing it. And so, either if someone says they can do it and can't do it, then they're fucking insane and they're nuts and they need to be put on meds. But if they can't do it and people see, that they can't do it, then they're nuts and they should be, put in the hospital. But if they can do it and somebody pretends that they can't do it, that's seeing it, then they're beyond insane and they're beyond nuts. And they should be the one who should be locked up in a nut house and put on meds for the dreads of their head. You know what the dreads of the head is? The ego, the envy, the jealousy, the unfriendly, the love, the light, the love, the bright, and the one only way is true and utter arch enemy. So this is how God works through me. In other words, I'm not God. I don't know if you're a God Almighty hater, but God knows if you're a God Almighty hater. And I knew that before God came down here. In other words, I used to pray to him. These people really think that they can lie to you when they pray to you and get away with it, and you don't know who's lying and who's not lying. I knew before he came here that he can name how many pennies I have in my pocket and in which pocket they're in and which clothes they're in and where every diamond ring is under the sand down here and where everything is. No matter how surreal it is, obvious, if you could create the world and the universe and send us down here and bring us back in 11 minutes and 11 seconds, then you could do any fucking thing you want. No matter how surreal it is, it's all obvious that God could do anything, and he's down here proving it to us for the first time in the history of the world. So much more disgusting, despicable, deplorable, horrible, and immortal than human beings pretending it's not true. Anything?
Not that I'm aware of, but so I thank you for all the information that you gave me, and I wish you the best. I hope things work out with the new doctor that you found. And
I haven't found one yet. I'm just researching it, but it's interesting.
But so Peter, what I would do, right, in the course of your research,
Yeah.
right, I would probably go in, right, because again, I can't imagine if I send my doc or a doctor a thing and say, hey, how much are you gonna charge me to take out my toenail?
Yeah.
Right, they're gonna have to say, hey, I gotta look at your toenail first before I give you a price. So that's how they work. They don't work through email. They don't.
Yes, they do. They do. They do. I talk to a lot of them. They go send us some photos so we can see. Okay, look. All right, look at. Okay, look at this. Let's say you're in the car business, because this happened to me in the car business, because they discriminate against me too.
Yeah, but a car is so much different from a human.
No, they discriminate there too. In other words, I say to the guy, look, I have imagine you're the Hulk and you lean on my car with your fist and you put a dent in my rear fender. So how much is that going to cost? How much is that? What do you mean? They all, when they knew it was me, they go, you got to bring the fucking car in. I don't have to bring the car in. They know, they could give me an estimate what I'm describing. It's a dent, you know, the size of a fist, and it's in my rear fender. How much is it? In other words, give me an estimate between $500 either way. You know what I mean? They could do that, and anyone who says they can't is a liar. So if you're in the doctor business, and one person has fat hanging 12 miles down his arm, and the other person has none.
I get it.
You know, it's common sense. It's common sense. If you're in that doctor business, if I was there a week, I'm a quick study, I could tell everybody, they could call and they go, how much is a nose job? And I go, well, how big is your nose and how thick is the skin? And I could figure out how long it's going to take the doctor and send me some pictures, and I'll give them a rough estimate. In other words, those photos of the nose, and when they come in in real life, if I'm a doctor who went to college for 12 years, is it going to be that much difference in the estimate? You got to be kidding me. And you cannot sit on a lie detector test and say, Peter, no, you got to come in to show the nose. No, I'm proving my morals points that you can't quarrel with any of these morals. They're full of shit. What?
I said, and I don't want to. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm just here to...
All right, well, you're trying. A few times you've tried and you lost every time.
It's because you're smarter than everyone, Peter.
No, I'm not smarter. I'm dumber than Dumb and Dumber. I can't remember a person's name or phone number. But the light, when he channels through me, no one has that clever lever. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter who I talk to. When the light jumps in my skin, they crush them like cheese and bring them to their knees. Lord, child, please. Lord, child, tease, 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 tease.
Okay. All right, Peter. Well, I wish you the best, buddy.
All right. Can anybody tease with the ease of the breeze blowing the leaves on the trees better, letter for letter, than the love, the light, the love, the bright, and the one only way down here in our modern day with his humanly impossible, blatant scientific ignorance, ways and fillets, only possible by the one and only God Almighty. And when God talks like that over the phone, that's when they shake in their boots, and that's when they call the police the pole not nice, because it is as scary as a motherfucker when the light does this and he's going to do it. Is it against the law to ring the ding ding? Grand
All right, Peter. I gotta go, buddy.
than Martin Luther King. Does this ring a ding ding scare the ugly and the smugly and the down wrong fugglier than any fugly?